When I wrote this out, I realized actually this scenario has really truly happened with one country, one Western country. This is the scenario. The World Health Organization declares immediate travel bans from and to China, and that China is quarantined until they are able to do the following: test everyone, provide results of the tests for everyone, including the visitors within the country at that time. Now remember, Chinese New Year, February 2020. Provide medical assistance for everyone. Provide proof that they are well to travel, especially those who need to go back to the countries they live in. Very important. What is the financial burden of this? If this set of instructions was implemented from February 2020 for the world, remember, Chinese New Year. The country I'm referring to right now, and I have actually been thinking about it a while, is New Zealand. People are going to say that they had help with Australia, but actually when it first started off, yes, of course Australia kind of like jumped in at some point, but even New Zealand had turned around and said they almost got into a war with China. At present, India is at war with China. So, this is the end of my interpretation of this argument about basically certain elements of communication between the World Health Organization, the world, and China. Because I have basically deemed this as one of the most historical films to come when we basically survive phase 4, whether it be a mass society or several countries around the world getting to what is called phase 4. There are a few countries in the world, by the way. There's like a handful of countries in the world, and some of them happen to be Asian countries, but there is a handful of countries in the world that are apparently what we would say pandemic free. And when we say pandemic free, this particular virus free, because we mustn't forget that basically there's other things that are going on, and there's weather. We are having huge I don't know how to put this really, because it's been the most annoying thing for me ever since I was growing up, and I've come to a point where I'm just like, it's a bit silly to say you don't believe in climate change, you don't believe in global warming, you don't believe in this, in anything in regards to how the planet is. But there has been some weather stuff, whether or not we as human beings have done it, or it's the planet itself, or it's weather space. And, some people may be like, weather space? What is weather space? Well, we mustn't forget that there is space outside the planet. We do have our space companies. There is that thing where basically the mission to Mars, and whether or not it ends up being like a fake, did they go to the moon and stuff like that, it really doesn't matter. It's just the point is that there is space. In space, there is weather, and what you want to call it, solar storms or whatever. You just need to basically look at the sun, actually, the sun and the moon, and the sun especially. Scientists are like, the sun's giving off solar flares. Don't forget to put your UV on, your tan. And people are running around having epileptic fits in countries that are like really, really hot, and they don't want to be wearing face masks because they get skin rash and all those fucking problems. But I've deemed this situation to be one of the most historical films. I don't know who's going to do it, but I know it's going to get done. But a subject, one of the most historical subjects, after, as the phrase is, God willing, we get through this nonsense. Me personally, I'm slowly putting my own ideas down, but I've definitely titled this "The World Health Organization versus China 2020," and these are my thoughts, Marcy Batiste. And the reason I've done that is because we are living in such an extraordinary time where I don't know if this man, Donald Trump, is going to survive this nonsense. You see, I'm actually hoping that he will as a person, but just someone will just basically politely just pull him aside and just be like, either hey Wigger or hey Donald, or, look, you did a really, really, really good job somewhere within your term, but unfortunately, you're going to have to pay for this shit. You really are. And it's one of the worst things because I've experienced war, not personally, but I've grown up with the war, and where a lot of people have been fighting with leaders of countries who just blatantly turn around and say, you're ignorant. How dare you send our troops off into war? How dare you be so irresponsible? Something like this, where a lot of us turn around and we go, oh, Doctors Without Borders is going to come and help you, or FEMA to the rescue, or, or some major celebrity, or a group of blah, 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 or we don't seem to have that with this guy, Donald Trump. So, and the reason why I'm expressing this is because ever since he took office, he's really upset some people. I mean, I can probably take a minute or two just to basically say something along the lines of this, which is, he's put serious trade sanctions. And I know I should be looking for the camera somewhere and be going like, but he's put serious trade sanctions on China. Like, as soon as he stepped into office, he played around with, and I just don't want to jump on this bandwagon, but he's played around with the East in so many different ways that the most poignant aspects of this game that he's been playing with, or this game that he's been playing, is the Saudis and China. And he's had some interesting conversations with, leaders like the guy from North Korea and stuff. And for me, I'm just like, well, I mean, some of these people are, as far as I'm concerned, not really worth the energy, but they are people that you have to coerce with. Coerce with is the wrong word, actually. They are people that you do have to have a conversation with. They're people that you have to talk to. They are people that you have to have a maturity with and say, look, we are in the world together. So, we've got to find a way to... And this is another thing. We've got to find a way to ... do business. And it really is and is not doing business. And I think he has purely been a business-orientated president here, as a lot more of the previous people have had business in the plan of governing, but they've also had much more humanity. So it's something that has stemmed back from the previous individual. And yes, Barack Obama, to a lot of people, or to some people, or just disgruntled people, didn't obviously do a good job or come across in the best light. And, you've got Donald Trump stepping in and saying that he's picked up on blah, blah, blah. It's like a trail of nonsense. And over in the UK, we have the same with this guy, Boris Johnson, and how Europe has fallen apart because of the Brexit and and things of this nature. And then we hit this pandemic, and from the pandemic we have one guy all the way across this area of the globe, which is the Atlantic, the Pacific, who has annoyed a lot of the business elements of governing the world. He really has. He's annoyed a lot of the business elements of governing the world to what I would call a very strange country called Sweden, who have done something very irresponsible in regards to COVID-19. So with these, I just haven't got the phrase. I know what I want to say, but I just don't want to say it right now because I'm trying to give a lot of this stuff the benefit of the doubt. Because what's happening is a lot of people are saying, oh, it's typical China, shit happens there, and basically they don't want to let anyone know because they are a dictatorship country, and they don't like negative press and the way that they come. And yes, they've done horrific stuff. They have done horrific stuff, but at the same time they've done some really bizarre, get this shit cleaned up and put this here and it's, I think that's what the World Health Organization was really trying to say, that they just didn't want to get into this with China. They wanted to find a way to basically just let China do China. And they're just like, we're not going to get that stuff from China directly, but in a weird way, we are. So let everyone come home, or meaning let everyone leave China. We get them. We help them, inform them, and get those tests. And get the vaccinations done quick. Because there's that argument too, and it's called a time lapse, or a delay, or basically irresponsibility, or misjudgment, or miscalculation, or you know where I'm going, irrational mindset, or ignorance. But that's it right now, and I just wanted to put that out there and share that, because just like the Wuhan, I'm going to try and get my eye line somewhere. I must look up there. Yeah, I got myself. But just like the PBS segment, the Wuhan, with the teacher and those children that did the no discrimination. I know that is true. I know it's coming from a true place. But we've got to stop all this stuff where basically there's a lot of propaganda stuff in regards to this. It's very important. We've got to stop this because we've got some really decent people, and they're doing they're doing tests. They're doing vaccine tests. They're doing all these tests for us, and we really need to be there to support them, because some of these tests might not work. Some of these vaccines might not work. And then also we're rolling into a different weather cycle as well. But my thoughts on China is interesting, and I will go into it because unfortunately, some countries have gone into a stage whatever. Because there's 4 stages basically. There's 4 stages of this prescription, this physical prescription. And where I live right now in America, we seem to be, to and fro, like the waltz is the wrong thing, but basically it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And what's alarming is these spikes, they're flaring up. And then when you look at them and you look at the surroundings, the environments, and you're just thinking, actually, some of them are in some amazing places where you just think to yourself, what kind of virus is this? Because it's air, it's airborne. The places are, you wouldn't dream of anything really you'd have to look at it and go, right, what type of individual, and then that's where all the preconceived. Okay, I'm just sorry. I'm just gonna because I'm a little bit tired, and I just wanted to quickly get this done. But I'm not going to take this back. I'm just going to elaborate on this at a later stage. But that's where the Russia influence comes from, where a lot of people are like, yeah, Russia is kind of really nice, and there's some spikes, and at the same time, it's a bit weird. So they've got preconceived conditions, and actually it's not all really corona related, or it's just some weird stuff. And then Sweden is just outright like, basically we're not really going to do all that. We're just going to go with the hive mentality, and we're just going to see if this thing can cancel itself out and work with the weather, and just basically see if we've got an additional aspect of a vaccine, because we know how to deal with the so-called what the thinking are the main elements. But yeah, I just wanted to say that because I really do feel for our medical people, and even if they are management, they still got to make those decisions, and ideally you cannot really stop someone from moving around, because even when your doctor says, hey, listen, take this prescription and give it to you. I mean, I haven't written you the right prescription. It's good. Take this prescription, take this doctor's note, and tell your employer, get your statutory sick pay, and you are not allowed to work for 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, or even 14 days. Try and keep your distance from people. If you have to go out, do blah 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 blah. And that's the magic phrase. If you have to go out, do blah 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 blah. And that's why I say you can't stop people, but you can advise them in such a way that it is really, really just plain simple fact and as truthful as possible. And I think that's what the World Health Organization was actually really trying to do, because that individual would have been like, okay, well, I can tell my boss, and my boss would be like, actually, you could do some work at home. And the GP's like, that's not what I meant, but okay, fine. If you want that, you can do some work at home. But, because, and in that sense, you're not around people, and you can do the work at your leisure, at your pace, but you must get better within the 7 or 14 days. And that's what we're going through. So I'm going to stop rambling, but I really, really, really wanted to talk about that, because this argument with the World Health Organization is just balmy. It's like FEMA blew up over the masks, and I saw a segment on FEMA about what is it called, the N95, or the mask that comes out like that, and the white, and the basically the what specifically is used for the for our medical services. And they're reusable. They are reusable, meaning that basically, they've collected a whole bunch of used. They're cleaning them. They're fumigating them, drying them out, and they're sending them back out. And I myself, as an everyday person, I'm seeing it on the streets as waste. I mean, I've already took photos, and I put this on Facebook and stuff, and there's media blackouts everywhere, and I really don't care, because the point is that I really want to document these things, and in some time to come, like in about 6 months, a year, when I flick back over this, I'll be like, fucking, this is like fucking seeing a condom everywhere, or like a woman's Tampax everywhere, or a cigarette box everywhere, and this is what half the conversation. This is what, like, one of the points of the fucking fight. Not even in this country, the fucking fight around the world over a specific face mask, and I'm seeing them all over the place. And yet they're bitching, saying basically, we have a lack of these supplies for our medical staff and the patients, but for our medical staff. And I'm like, well, if there's nothing for the medical staff, I'm not being funny. It doesn't matter how goodwill and good-hearted our medical staff are. They're fucking human beings, and they're not going to want to go into work. Anyway, thank you for indulging me. Take care, guys. And please be safe. And it is a little bit more than washing hands. It really, really is. Yeah, I'm not going, oh my god, I love myself. I just bought a new phone, and it's not an excuse to like mess around with the phone, but I'm also looking at my script and thinking, have I missed anything else? Because this conversation about the World Health Organization, someone else help me, please, because it is growing. Take care, guys.